Well, two customers at Subway say there wasn't tuna in their tuna sandwich, and they are suing the sandwich shop.
That sandwich chain built its entire brand on the word fresh. Last year, 17 locations failed their health inspection. Some of them failed twice. And they are not the worst one on this list. 4 million Canadians get food-borne illness every year. Restaurants are where it most often begins. Food courts, high-traffic kitchens, rapid-fire prep, counters nobody looks behind are where it gets ignored the longest. 7 chains. From the smoothie brand marketed as the healthy choice to the burger counter with the longest lineup in the mall, we pulled back the counter on all of them. What we found will change how you walk through any food court in this country. Let's get into it. Subway. At number 7, we have the green and yellow sign that almost all of Canada is familiar with. Walk through almost any Canadian mall food court, whether it's CF Toronto Eaton Centre, West Edmonton Mall, or Metrotown in Burnaby, and you'll likely see the Subway's green and yellow sign. For decades, the food chain has built its reputation around a single powerful idea that you were making a better choice. More vegetables, more control over what went into your meal, fresher ingredients, assembled right in front of you by a human being wearing gloves. For health-conscious Canadians from St. John's to Surrey, Subway was the go-to option when you wanted to feel good about grabbing something fast and somewhat healthy at the mall. That brand promise, however, has come under serious and sustained scrutiny in recent years, and not just from disappointed customers venting online. In 2021, a high-profile lawsuit in the United States alleged that Subway's tuna products contained little to no actual tuna DNA, raising deeply unsettling questions about what, exactly, was going into those sandwiches that Canadians had been cheerfully ordering for decades. Subway firmly denied the claims and called the suit meritless. The case went through multiple rounds of legal proceedings and was ultimately dismissed. Subway maintains it serves 100% real, wild-caught tuna, but the controversy lingered long after the legal dust settled. And for good reason. Because the tuna saga was only one chapter in a much longer, more troubling story. In late 2024, another proposed class action lawsuit filed in federal court in the United States alleged that Subway's advertisements showed sandwiches containing significantly more meat and filling than customers actually received when they placed their orders in-store. The claim suggested the gap between what appears on the menu board, all that gloriously piled-high promotional photography, and what actually lands on your tray was substantial. Subway disputed those claims as well. But the lawsuit raised a question that Canadians and consumers across North America have been quietly asking for years. Are you actually getting what you think you're paying for? Accounts from former Subway workers, reported across various Canadian media outlets and online forums, describe similar patterns at locations from coast to coast. Proteins arriving pre-cooked and reheated to order. Vegetables pre-cut and stored for extended periods, sometimes far beyond what the fresh branding implies. Assembly line practices that, at some locations, may leave ingredients sitting in heated trays far longer than any reasonable definition of fresh would allow. Then there's the bread. Irish courts famously ruled that Subway's bread contained too much sugar to legally qualify as bread under Irish tax law. It was categorized more like a confection. Subway's bread in Canada contains added sugar, though not at exactly the same level as the Irish formulation that triggered that ruling. Still, the core tension between Subway's health brand promise and its actual ingredient profile is real and documentable. When you're selling a sandwich as a nutritious choice and the structural base of that sandwich is sweetened enough to raise legal eyebrows in another jurisdiction, that's a gap worth examining. The entire brand is built on the promise of freshness, and the marketing budget has spent decades convincing Canadians that choosing Subway is choosing health. But former staff describe pre-cooked proteins sitting in heated water baths, vegetables pre-cut days in advance, and a legal record of contested ingredient claims. So are we really eating fresh? Or are we eating whatever survives the gap between the advertisement and the assembly line? Manchu Wok. If you've spent any time in Canadian malls over the past few decades, chances are you've eaten at Manchu Wok at least once. The smell alone is hard to resist. Soy sauce, sizzling garlic, battered chicken, and fried rice drifting across the food court. It's been a staple of the Canadian mall experience for more than 40 years. The brand was founded in Peterborough, Ontario in 1980, and for a long time it was the default Chinese food option in malls across the country. By the early 2000s, Manchu Wok had expanded to hundreds of locations across Canada and internationally. At its peak, it had more than 200 restaurants, many of them tucked inside busy food courts from Pacific Center in Vancouver to Square One in Mississauga. Today, the chain is owned by MTY Food Group, a Montreal-based fast food conglomerate that operates dozens of food court brands across Canada. And that corporate structure is where some consumer advocates start raising questions. MTY isn't just running Manchu Wok. The company oversees multiple food court chains simultaneously, including brands like Thai Express and Mr. Sub. In 2024, the company publicly announced it had initiated a strategic review of the business, exploring options that could include selling part or all of the company. To the average mall shopper, that corporate news might sound irrelevant, but to food service analysts, it matters. When a single parent company manages dozens of restaurant brands at once, it can create pressure to standardize operations across the entire portfolio, everything from ingredient sourcing to staffing levels and recipe design. Those pressures often push chains towards centralized suppliers, simplified menus, and tighter labor budgets. In other words, efficiency. However, that efficiency doesn't always translate into freshness. If you stand in line at a Manchu Wok counter, the setup looks impressive at first glance. Stainless steel trays stacked with sweet and sour pork, orange chicken, chow mein, and fried rice. Steam rising from behind the glass. A server scooping generous portions into a takeout container. But the reality of this serving model is something food safety experts watch closely. Most dishes are prepared in large batches and then placed under heat lamps or warming trays until customers arrive. According to Health Canada food safety guidelines, cooked food should be held at a minimum of 60 degrees Celsius to prevent dangerous bacterial growth. That temperature might sound straightforward. In practice, maintaining it consistently in a high-volume food court environment can be surprisingly difficult. So much so that customer reviews across multiple Canadian cities hint at this problem repeatedly. In Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver, diners have posted similar experiences online. Food that appears to have been sitting out for long periods, chicken described as dry or rubbery, noodles losing their texture under the heat lamps. One reviewer visiting a Manchu Wok at Metropolis at Metrotown in Burnaby summed it up bluntly. The chow mein was cold, battered items were mostly batter with little meat, and the overall flavor was flat. The complaint isn't unique. Across review platforms, the same pattern appears again and again, dishes that look vibrant behind the counter but feel tired on the tray. From a strictly food safety perspective, the concern isn't just taste, it's time. The longer cooked food sits under heat lamps, the more carefully temperature controls must be maintained. If those temperatures slip, even briefly, bacteria can begin to multiply in ways that aren't visible to customers standing in line. Public health inspection databases in Canada, including those maintained by Toronto Public Health's DineSafe program and Alberta Health Services, show that temperature control issues are among the most commonly cited violations in food court kitchens across the country. And Manchu Wok locations, like any large franchise network, have appeared in those databases over the years with the same types of violations inspectors repeatedly flag: holding temperatures, handling procedures, and sanitation practices. Again, that doesn't mean every location has a problem. But it does highlight a structural vulnerability in the food court model itself. When massive batches of food are cooked early, displayed for hours, and served throughout multiple lunch rushes, the entire system depends on careful temperature monitoring behind the counter, something customers simply cannot see. From the outside, the theatrical wok display and steaming trays suggest constant cooking and freshness. But if the chicken you're ordering has been sitting under a heat lamp since mid-morning, the real question becomes less about flavor and more about oversight. Because when the wok is mostly for show, the food has been sitting longer than you think, and the parent company is juggling dozens of brands at once. The most important question isn't whether the food looks good. It's whether someone behind the counter is still watching the thermometer. And if that thought makes you pause before ordering your next mall stir-fry, the next chain on our list raises an even bigger concern. Because this one didn't just receive complaints or online criticism. It was formally charged by a Canadian public health authority. Bourbon Street Grill. In Canadian food courts, Bourbon Street Grill occupies a very specific lane. It's the place you go when you want something that feels a bit more flavorful than a burger or fries: Cajun spiced chicken, rice bowls, bold sauces, and generous portions. In malls like Markville Shopping Centre in Markham, Scarborough Town Centre, or CF Chinook Centre in Calgary, the line at Bourbon Street Grill often moves quickly, fed by the assumption that this is a reliable, slightly elevated fast food option. But in May 2025, that perception took a serious hit. York Region Public Health issued a formal charge against a Bourbon Street Grill location at Markville Mall following a series of documented food safety violations. This wasn't a warning or a minor infraction noted in passing. It was an official enforcement action, recorded publicly and reported by local news outlets covering health inspections in the region. The inspection report outlined several critical failures. Food handlers did not have proper access to hand-washing stations, meaning staff preparing meals may not have been able to wash their hands at required intervals. Potentially hazardous foods were not being kept at safe temperatures, increasing the risk of bacterial growth. And dishwashing procedures, one of the most basic safeguards in any kitchen, were not being carried out with sufficiently hot water or proper rinsing time. Each of those violations matters on its own. Together, they point to a breakdown in the most fundamental systems that keep restaurant food safe. What makes this situation more concerning is what inspectors had to do during the visit. According to the report, food handler education was conducted on-site, meaning staff required immediate instruction on basic food safety practices while the inspection was happening. That detail is difficult to ignore. It suggests that, at least at that moment, essential hygiene protocols were not fully understood or consistently followed by the people handling customers' food. This isn't about a minor technical oversight. It's about the core routines: washing hands, maintaining safe temperatures, properly cleaning equipment that prevent contamination in the first place. And this wasn't an isolated incident tied to a single location. Public records from Toronto Public Health show that a Bourbon Street Grill vendor operating at the Canadian National Exhibition was closed by health authorities after inspectors identified serious sanitation issues. Those included failures to prevent gross, unsanitary conditions, inadequate cleaning of utensils and surfaces, and food being held or served at unsafe temperatures. The closure was confirmed at the time by the CNE, underscoring that the concerns were significant enough to warrant immediate action. When you look at these incidents together, a pattern begins to emerge, not necessarily across every location, but across multiple environments and time periods. The same categories of violations keep appearing: hand hygiene, temperature control, and sanitation. These aren't obscure technical requirements buried deep in a regulatory manual. They are the foundation of food safety. In a high-volume food court setting, where meals are prepared quickly and served continuously throughout the day, even small lapses in these areas can have amplified consequences. A tray of chicken held below safe temperature doesn't just affect one customer. It can affect dozens. A missed hand wash doesn't stay isolated. It transfers through every surface and utensil that follows. For many Canadians, Bourbon Street Grill still feels like a dependable choice: familiar flavors, fast service, and a sense of consistency across malls. But when a location is formally charged by a public health authority and other operations tied to the same brand have been shut down over sanitation concerns, it forces a harder question: not whether the food tastes good, but whether the systems behind that food are being followed the way they're supposed to be. And if you think that's concerning, the next change shifts the focus from visible violations to something more subtle: corporate pressure behind the scenes, where cost-cutting and restructuring decisions can quietly shape what ends up on your plate. Thai Express. In Canadian malls, Thai Express has built its reputation on something most food court brands struggle to deliver: the feeling of real cooking. You're standing there watching flames rise from a wok, hearing the sizzle of noodles hitting hot metal, smelling garlic and sauce caramelizing in seconds. In places like CF Richmond Center, Square One, or West Edmonton Mall, it genuinely looks like your meal is being made fresh right in front of you. That visual matters. It's the reason many Canadians see Thai Express as a step above typical fast food. The brand is owned by MTY Food Group, which operates multiple food court chains across the country. That kind of large-scale ownership creates a system built for consistency: the same menu, the same flavors, the same process whether you're in Vancouver, Toronto, or Halifax. But consistency at that scale usually comes from standardization, not spontaneity. And that's where the gap between perception and reality begins. In a traditional Thai kitchen, dishes are built from scratch, fresh herbs, balanced sauces, and ingredients prepared in the moment. In a high-volume food court environment, the pace simply doesn't allow for that kind of cooking. During peak lunch hours, a single location may serve hundreds of customers in a short window. To keep up, much of the preparation happens before you ever step up to the counter. Industry accounts from workers in quick-service Asian food concepts describe a system where sauces arrive pre-mixed from central suppliers, proteins are pre-portioned and stored ahead of service, and vegetables are chopped in batches. When your order is placed, the wok is used to heat, combine, and finish, not to build the dish entirely from raw ingredients. That distinction is easy to miss as a customer. You see flames, you hear sizzling. It feels like a fresh meal, awaiting your consumption as you watch. But what you're often watching is the final step of a process that started hours earlier. From a food safety perspective, that matters because every step between preparation and serving introduces potential risk. Ingredients that are prepped in bulk must be stored at precise temperatures. Proteins must remain within safe holding ranges. Sauces and cooked components can't sit too long without proper controls. Public inspection systems across Canada consistently identify the same risk areas in high-volume kitchens: temperature control, food handling, and sanitation. These aren't theoretical concerns. They are the exact categories inspectors repeatedly flag in food court environments. Thai Express locations, like any large franchise network, operate within that same system. Some locations maintain strong standards. Others appear in inspection records with the kinds of violations that are common across the industry. The issue isn't that Thai Express is uniquely unsafe. It's that the model it relies on, fast, high-volume wok cooking using pre-prepared components, creates a structure where consistency depends heavily on how well each individual location manages those behind-the-scenes processes. And those are the parts customers never see. What you do see is a carefully designed experience that signals freshness in a way that feels reassuring. But visual transparency isn't the same as operational transparency. A wok in motion doesn't tell you how long the chicken was stored before it hit the pan. It doesn't tell you whether temperature logs were followed that morning, or how long prepped ingredients have been sitting in containers behind the line. That's the subtle risk with Thai Express. Not a single headline scandal or one dramatic violation, but a system where branding and presentation can easily be mistaken for freshness and control. And if that makes you rethink what fresh really means in a food court, the next chain takes that illusion even further, turning something Canadians believe is light and healthy into one of the highest sugar hits you can buy in a mall: Orange Julius. There are few brands more nostalgic in a Canadian mall than Orange Julius. For decades, it's been the stop you make when you want something cold, sweet, and importantly, something that feels lighter than fast food. You're walking through CF Toronto Eaton Centre or Metropolis at Metrotown, bags in hand, and that frothy orange drink feels like a healthy, refreshing break. That perception is exactly what makes Orange Julius so misleading. Because behind the branding, the numbers tell a very different story. A standard large Orange Julius drink can contain between 60 and 90 grams of sugar, depending on the flavor and size. To put that into context, the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada recommends that adults consume no more than 48 grams of free sugars per day. That means a single drink can exceed your entire daily recommended sugar intake in one sitting. And yet, it doesn't feel like you're making an indulgent choice. That's the power of how the product is positioned. Orange Julius is owned by Dairy Queen, which itself operates under Berkshire Hathaway, one of the largest corporate structures in the world. Like any major chain, the drinks are built on standardized formulas, not fresh squeezed, made-to-order fruit blends the name might suggest. What you're actually getting is typically a mix of juice concentrate, flavor base, dairy components, and added sweeteners, blended into that signature frothy texture. Yes, there is fruit involved, but it's not what's driving the sugar content. That distinction matters because the entire experience is designed to feel like a fruit-based treat, something closer to a smoothie than a dessert. For many Canadians, especially parents buying for kids or shoppers trying to avoid heavier food court options, it registers as the better choice. In reality, it's closer to a liquid dessert than a health-conscious option, and the concerns don't stop at nutrition. From a food safety perspective, beverage kiosks like Orange Julius present a different kind of challenge, one that's easy to overlook because it's less visible than a grill or fryer. The risk is in the equipment. Blenders, dispensers, and nozzles used in high-volume drink preparation need to be thoroughly cleaned on a strict schedule. These machines handle sugary liquids, dairy components, and sometimes protein-based additives, all of which can create an environment where bacteria grow quickly if sanitation slips. Health inspection bodies and consumer advocacy groups in Canada have repeatedly noted that beverage equipment is among the most commonly flagged items in food court inspections. It's harder to monitor, harder to clean properly, and often operating continuously throughout the day. And unlike a grill or prep surface, you can't easily see inside a blender mechanism. You don't know how thoroughly it was cleaned between uses. You just see the finished drink. That's what makes Orange Julius different from the other chains on this list. It hasn't faced the same level of public controversy or headline-making violations. But as consumer advocates point out, lack of attention isn't the same as lack of risk. The bigger issue is perception. When a product marketed as light and refreshing delivers more sugar than your entire daily limit and is served through equipment that requires meticulous sanitation, the risk isn't just about what's in the cup. It's about what Canadians believe they're choosing. You think you're taking a break from heavy food, but what you're really getting is a high-sugar formula in an orange cup that looks healthier than it is. And if that kind of hidden reality is surprising, the next chain raises a different kind of concern, one rooted in how food is cooked, held, and served under pressure. Edo, Japan. At first glance, Edo, Japan feels like one of the safest bets in any Canadian food court. The concept is simple and reassuring. Grilled teriyaki chicken or beef, steamed rice, sautéed vegetables. There's no deep fryer bubbling in the background, no heavy batter, and definitely no overly processed look. In malls like West Edmonton Mall, CF Chinook Centre, or Guildford Town Centre, it's often the place people go when they want something that feels clean and balanced. That reputation is exactly why it deserves a closer look. Edo, Japan was founded in Edmonton in 1977, and it has grown into one of the most recognizable Japanese-style quick-service chains in the country. The open grill design is part of its appeal. You can see the food being cooked, hear it sizzling, watch it move from grill to plate. It creates a sense of transparency, the feeling that nothing is hidden. But food safety experts consistently point to a structural issue in this kind of setup: the moment between the grill and your tray. In a high-volume food court environment, especially during lunch rushes, the demand for speed can outpace the ability to cook every portion fresh to order. When that happens, proteins like teriyaki chicken or beef are often cooked in batches and then transferred to holding trays so staff can serve customers quickly. That's where the risk begins. Food safety authorities across Canada consistently identify temperature control as one of the most critical factors in preventing foodborne illness. Cooked poultry, in particular, must be held within a narrow, safe temperature range. If it drops below that range, bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter can begin to grow. Those bacteria aren't visible. You can't taste them. You won't notice them while standing at the counter. But they are among the most common causes of foodborne illness in Canada. Public health inspection databases in provinces like Ontario and Alberta repeatedly show that temperature and holding violations are among the most frequent issues identified in grill-based food court operations. These are not rare, one-off problems. They are recurring risk areas tied directly to how this style of service works. Former workers in similar high-volume grill concepts have described the pressure during peak periods. When the line grows and orders pile up, maintaining perfect temperature checks on every batch becomes more difficult. Food gets moved to holding trays to keep service moving, and at that pace, consistency depends entirely on how strictly procedures are followed in the moment. That's something customers never see. You see the grill. You don't see how long the chicken sat after it left it. Beyond hot holding, there's also the issue of cold storage. Edo, Japan's proteins are typically marinated in bulk before cooking. That means large quantities of raw or partially prepared meat must be stored at precise temperatures before they ever reach the grill. Inspection records across Canada show that cold storage violations, improper refrigeration temperatures, overcrowded storage units are another common finding in food court environments. And then there's a factor most shoppers don't think about at all: the shared environment. Food court restaurants don't operate in isolation. They share ventilation systems, waste disposal areas, and infrastructure with dozens of other vendors inside the same building. Recent pest control data in Canadian cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria has shown increased rodent activity in commercial food environments, and food courts are considered structurally higher risk because of that shared ecosystem. Again, this doesn't mean your Edo, Japan meal is unsafe, but it does mean the environment it's prepared in carries risks that go beyond a single kitchen. What makes Edo, Japan stand out on this list is how strongly it's associated with being a better choice. Compared to fried options, it feels lighter. Compared to heavily processed meals, it feels simpler. And visually, it reinforces that belief. But transparency in cooking doesn't eliminate the risks that happen before and after that moment. If food is held too long, stored improperly, or handled under pressure, those risks don't disappear just because the final step happens in front of you. They travel with the food to your tray. Booster juice. This is the one that genuinely surprises people. It isn't the chain with the rodent citation or the lawsuit. It's the one millions of Canadians see as the safe, healthy choice. Booster Juice, founded in Edmonton in 1999, built its entire identity on the promise that choosing it means choosing health. That promise is deeply misleading. Let's start with the sugar. A large tropical tornado contains over 80 grams of sugar. Some medium drinks exceed 60 grams. The Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada recommends a daily maximum of 48 grams. To put that into context, one large tropical tornado delivers 167% of your recommended daily sugar intake in minutes. The calorie profile is just as alarming. Some large drinks exceed 700 calories while being marketed as light, healthy options. Parents, athletes, and office workers consume them believing they're making smart choices. Dietitians point out the issue clearly. It looks like fruit, but it's often fruit juice concentrate, added sugars, sherbet, and frozen yogurt driving the numbers. Sure, you're getting fruit, but the real issue isn't just nutrition, it's trust. Booster Juice built a powerful health image that leads people to overconsume sugar without realizing it. So here's where we land. Across all 7 chains from Subway to Booster Juice, the pattern is clear. Branding promises one thing, but inspection records, nutrition data, and operational realities often tell another story. Which of these shocked you the most? Share your experience in the comments. And if this opened your eyes, share and subscribe for more deep insights on Canada's food chains and what they serve behind the counter.